Okay, today we're going to talk about energy, a specific kind of energy. This is energy that we can eat. This is a concentrated, organized form of energy, a higher order form of energy that is suited particularly for the human beings because it's biological energy. But actually this is a form of solar energy, because the energy that's in this bread came from taking flour, which is milled from grains of wheat, and those grains of wheat were taken from a green wheat plant, and that wheat plant collected solar energy from the sun, and it combined it with carbon, hydrogen, oxygen from the air to make carbohydrates, which wheat's high in carbohydrates, bread's high in carbohydrates, but also minerals from the soil, and the energy is tied up in the bonds that hold those various elements from the air and from the soil together. And when we take this piece of bread and we put it in our mouth and the body digests that bread, then what we're doing is we're releasing the energy that's tied up in those bonds to let those elements loose back into the overall environment, and then our body is slowly using that energy to fuel our body. Now, in the process of doing that, we're making use of the energy, but according to the second law of thermodynamics, the law of entropy, some of the usefulness of that energy is inevitably lost. Even though we didn't destroy it, it's not as useful as it was before, because it's not as organized, concentrated into the form that allows us to use that particular energy. Now, we could have made some alternative uses of energy. We could take this flour, for example, and if we put it in a certain kind of environment where it is dispersed and we apply a flame to it, instead of the body using the energy in a slow process to fuel our body, if we apply a flame to that flour, then it will release that energy in an explosion all at once. Now, as far as the value of this flour or this wheat to us, depends on how we choose to use it. If we use it for our body, it does something very useful. If it explodes, we're still creating a very rapid process of entropy. From an economic standpoint, the explosion may be as valuable as fueling our body, but from the standpoint of us staying alive and healthy, then we get much more usefulness out of that energy whenever we use it to eat rather than to do something destructive. And the same is true of other forms of energy that goes into explosions as opposed to going into slower, more useful kinds of processes. As far as the economy is concerned, it doesn't make any difference how you use it. It's the economic value. But as far as human well-being is concerned, then it makes a lot of difference how we use energy. Now, one important thing to remember is that this solar energy from this bread is renewable energy, because we could take these grains of wheat, and instead of grinding them into flour and using them either for bread or to blow up, then we could plant that wheat in the ground, and whenever we plant a grain of wheat in the ground, then it will grow dozens of grains of wheat on the stalk of that wheat. And so as long as we save some of the wheat back in order to replant it, then we can grow another crop of wheat, which will collect more solar energy, and it will collect that solar energy and organize it and store it in the form of carbohydrates again, and we can use it over and over again. And that's the way a sustainable economy has to work. In order to sustain the economy, we have to continually save back some of the energy. Just as the wheat crop puts a significant part of its energy into the wheat kernels as opposed to the wheat stalk, we have to put a significant part of whatever energy we've got and put it back into regeneration and renewal of the basic source of the energy, so that we can grow like another wheat crop, but we can continually to build water mills, or windmills, or photovoltaic cells, or whatever. Those are all kind of investments, like the wheat's making the investment back in the soil. And then we also, like in the case of wheat, we have to maintain the health and the productivity of the soil to provide a healthy environment in which that wheat crop to grow. And we have to have people that are capable of planting and caring for the wheat and nurturing it. So It's back to the whole idea that everything of any use to us comes from nature by way of society, and that includes the energy that's involved in the biological energy of wheat and all of the other energy sources as well. And so the basic story of wheat is the basic story of renewable energy and of sustainability.